Seattle House Mafia.
Welcome to another episode of Seattle House Mafia Industry Interviews. I'm Phil, your host. Today's guest recently played during Miami Music Week, Weekend 1 at Coachella, and a pre-party during Movement Detroit.
Yes.
In Detroit, correct?
Yes, in Detroit.
Be very clear about that. The official pre-party.
The official pre-party, yes.
He has releases on Desert Hearts, Space Yacht, Ferris Wheel Recordings, United Soul Music, Flash Mob Records, and many, many more. He has produced and released over 100 tracks to date, and in 2020 released his first album, Big Whopper, on his own label, Late Night Munchies, which went number 1 in all 6 genres represented in the album.
Insane.
As well as number 2 globally on Beatport, right?
Yeah.
He is the owner of Late Night Munchies, Munchies After Dark, and the label manager of Space Yacht. I want to welcome Tony H to the Seattle House Mafia studio.
In the building.
In the building. Good to finally meet you, man. How are you? Thanks for coming through.
I released over 100 tracks.
That's what you said.
I said that? Actually, I remember that. I did say that. I did say that. It is true. That's fact. You can fact check that.
I believe it.
It is very true. But I'm good. Happy to be here. And I guess I've made over 100 tracks.
I mean, how long? What's the time span on 100? That's a lot of tracks.
That's since, 2013?
Damn.
Yeah, so that's almost 10 years. 10 years coming up. Jesus.
But 10 years, that's still 10 tracks a year.
That's probably more than that.
Am I doing the math right?
I mean, the math is correct, but some years I did more and some years I did less. So, but still, I mean, that's insane to even process that I released that much music.
Yeah. So, well, quick funny story. So, this is the first time we've officially met.
Yes.
Sort of officially. I met you briefly when Flammable moved to Chop Suey. I think it was either the first or the second Sunday that they had moved up there.
Okay.
And I was with Sangdo. Sangdo pointed you out and he goes, "Hey, that's Tony H." Because we were talking about getting people on the show. This was still a concept, right? And so I walked up to you and I introduced myself. I did this awkward like, "Hey, we've never really met in real life, but we're friends on Facebook. It's great to meet you."
Man. I remember this now.
And you were so nice about it, but I was such a fucking troll. And I was thinking, God, socially, I'm so glad I'm married because I got no game. Even when I'm talking to dudes, like meeting them at the bar, right? So anyway, you were cool about it. I didn't even leave you an opportunity to not be awkward. So I kind of backed away.
You left.
Yeah.
You did the Homer Simpson.
I totally
You just
did.
Like backed up into the crowd. Just like, all right, bye.
Great to meet you.
I was like, all right. Well,
So,
that's his friend, so that's cool.
Yeah. So we officially met then, but I'm not going to count that. I'm going to say we get a redo, which is
this one. I'll give you the redo. That's fair.
I get to come across as a much cooler, more put together person.
Not as weird. Yeah.
No, not as weird.
I don't even think it was weird even then when I met you. I was just like, all right, that's what that was.
It was kind of weird.
I think I was with my girlfriend. I think she asked you, "Who was that?" I'm like,
know.
I'm not really sure, but I just met him. Definitely just met him.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Well, so, and speaking of my wife, she goes, she likes to ask who, she's not really connected in this world, but she likes to ask who I'm interviewing, who's going to be coming to the house and the whole thing. And I said, I don't know him, but it's this dude, Tony H. And it seems like he's doing a million things and he's finding success in everything that he's doing. And I said, to me, without knowing the guy, he's like a fucking freight train that you either get on or get out of the way.
That's facts. Is
that legit what's going on? Either
you get on for the ride or get left behind.
Yeah, because I just see you everywhere. And like I was trying to figure out the events and the releases and all the stuff that you're doing when I was doing a little background. And there's just so much happening with you. So I guess talk to me about that a little bit. Like what's driving all that? Is this new or has this been going on for a long time?
I started DJing in 2009. And literally it was just like, I was the kid at the high school parties with the iPod, and then like that, and that was it. Like, that's how it started. And all my friends were like, yo, like if Tony doesn't show up with the music, like we're not partying. So like, I've been doing it for a long time. Then I got into like event organizing and then I started producing. And so it was just like, it's just been like a collective amount of years of doing all this shit. But it's just like I've been doing it for so long and have like so much music and shit that sometimes I forget. Like my friends will play my tracks and I'm like hanging out and they're like, "This is your track." I'm like, "Oh, it is?" But like sometimes it doesn't even register. Like I just make music because I love to make music. Right. So like, and I'm like my output is pretty high like when I'm making music. So it's just like And then I sent it to my friends. They played. I'm like, I didn't even know that was my track. They're like, yeah, I'm playing your stuff right now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
So where did that start though? Like, did you come from a musical family? Did you grow up around music? And why dance music also?
Music family in the sense of like my parents listen to everything.
Okay.
Literally everything. I know like there's like DJs over like, yeah, I play everything except for country. It's like in my house, like we listen to everything that you can think of.
Even
rock, country, hip hop, house, all weird adjacent stuff that doesn't make sense to me that my parents love. But like that was my house every Sunday, all day. We're cleaning the house, we're cooking, and we're listening to music. So like that's like neither one of my parents were like both like none of them play instruments, none of them were ever into any of that. But like that was my house. It was like music all day on a Sunday. That was it. And even like I literally just came back from Texas where my family is, and I was there on a Sunday, and they're still doing the same routine. So cool. We clean the house, we cook, and we listen to music all day. So like that's always been a thing. So like I knew that I was bound to be in music in some form or fashion. Granted, like growing up, like the first instrument I played was a triangle.
Is that officially an instrument? I guess it is.
First of all, you're not going to diss the triangle. Okay. Okay? Because it was my first instrument. And I only played it because I wasn't good at anything else. And that was the easiest thing to play. And then I played the flute, which I was also bad at. I had a lime green flute that everyone could see. And it was not fun. What? And then I played the xylophone.
Okay.
I wasn't good at any of these things. I wasn't even good at the triangle, which, how can you be bad at that? But I wasn't good at that. But like I think I don't even know why I chose electronic music. I think all my friends were just like that's what like they were into, and so I was just like I'm gonna make this. Like this is what I'm gonna make. But like I started off making just I started off on GarageBand just making random beats and kind of drifted into like I'm gonna start making house music or I'm gonna start making electronic music. And a lot of the artists I was following at that time, Carl Cox, Jamie Jones, Maya Jane Cole, DJ Heather, like DJ Minx. Like that was all like Chicago Jack and House vibes, and like I was like, this is what we're doing, and now we've been doing it for a long time.
And that was not in Seattle. Where were you?
So I initially started producing when I lived in Alaska.
Okay.
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Wow.
Specifically. Yeah. Not much. You know what? I enjoyed my time in Alaska. But yeah, that's it was hard to start producing that kind of music there because there wasn't a scene for it.
Right.
So I was like one of few that were like into that kind of music and like wanted to throw events, wanted to go to parties like that, but like Alaska didn't really have that at the time. So I did that and then eventually started the label, which is when I started doing parties and all that out there.
Okay. So when did you come to Seattle?
I came to Seattle in 2016. It was election year. It was the day that Trump won.
Okay.
It was the day I landed. That was such a weird day.
Was the motivation to leave Alaska and come to Seattle, was it purely to push the next level of music for you?
Yeah, it was like the issue I was having in Alaska was no one wanted to book me out of Alaska because it's so expensive to fly out. So it was like, if I'm gonna keep doing this and I want to do it in a larger scale, I gotta leave. Like that's it. And then one of my really good friends, Mind Groove, who's like also a DJ in Seattle, he's from here. And so I would come every summer with him and visit and would meet people, the Wesley Holmes and all those Sean Majors, all those guys. Yep. And eventually I was like, you know what? Like I got to move here because like the scene, like this is what I need. Like this is the scene I need to be in. So made the move and now I've been here for almost 7 years.
Very cool. So you had some loose connections here. Because you could have gone to California, San Francisco, SoCal, something like that. There's scenes there as well, right?
But the thing that made this move easy is like I always do that. Even before I moved to Alaska, I always would like search like who was doing what and like would like cold call message them and be like, hey, like my name's Tony and this is what I do to like introduce myself. So like that's basically what I did in Seattle, but I got to travel here before and I got to meet all the people and like show face. And so by the time I moved here, I already knew like the Viva crew and I knew like the Soft Option crew and I knew like I already knew all these crews by the time I got here. So it's like I wasn't like a stranger to the scene. So they knew who I was, what I was trying to do. So like it helped that I got to meet them before I moved here. But yeah, like the motivation was literally the scene and trying to travel more because like now like then I was like, oh, I live in Seattle. Like, oh, now we can book you here and we'll pay for you to come here. I'm like, okay, well, that's nice. Now I'm not in Alaska anymore.
So I want to dig into something you said. You said cold call, right?
Yeah.
And I say the reason I want to dig into that is there is, and I've noticed this with creatives, music, visual art, whatever it is, sculpture, like you kind of name the creative bent. And I think there's, I don't want to oversimplify it. It seems like there's two different types of people. There's a spectrum, right? But there's like the people who expect it to come to them and are mad that it doesn't, you know? And then there's the odd edge case where they expect it to come to them and it actually does, and they get a break. Yeah. But that's so rare. It's such a small percentage. And then there's the people, and I don't think people understand that there's a whole group of people that will bust their ass to make connections, to meet people, to offer value, to support a community. There's like levels to elevating yourself in a way that's not arrogant, and at the same time you're supporting, you're becoming a valued member of a community. So talk to me about your philosophy around how you entered the Seattle scene through cold calling. My
one of my old bosses had this saying, closed mouth don't get fed. And he used to say that all the time when we'd be at work, because like people would complain about something. I'm like, well, if you just ask, like you're not going to know until you ask. So like for me, it was just like, I'm going to reach out to people, and some are going to answer, and some are probably not going to give me any other time, and that's okay. But like putting my name out there. So it was just like, the whole thing was just like, I'm going to just put myself out there and say like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the goal I have. Like once I get to Seattle, like this is what I'm trying to do. And people were receptive of that. So then I observe, as like most people probably do, and would go out and see how people moved and realize like, oh, okay, like I can be like a core part of the community by like throwing events or helping people get booked or signing them to the label and like helping push their music. And that's what we did. Like I would meet people. I'm like, oh, you produce? Send me music. We're going to put your stuff out. Oh, you play? I'm throwing a party. I'm booking you. So it was like, I became like an integral part of the community by like just being helpful. And then also being a person that people could come to and be like, oh, like I just started doing this. Like how I just started producing, like what can I do or how can I help? And I'd give them stuff for free. Like here's some plugins, here's this, here's that. Like, cause a lot of the time people are gatekeeping things because they don't want to see their peers win or their friend. I am the opposite. So I'm like, yo, if I got it, you can have it too.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel a little bit like a broken record, but it's this like abundance versus famine mentality that really, like, if you peel it all back, and it's people that do look into supporting other, I think just people miss that idea. Like they're so focused on their own success that they don't understand that they can bolster their own success by helping other people do stuff. And it's, you know,
my like before my grandma passed, she had this saying. She said, everyone can eat, even if I don't like you, you can still eat, just not at my table. So like for me, it's just like, yeah, like all my, like we can all win, we can all succeed here. And even if I don't agree with what you do or like don't like you that much, like you can still succeed just over there, not with me at this table. But yeah, I don't know. Like we can all be rising together as opposed to separately or failing alone. I don't know. Like you have a better chance of winning with people that you want to be around than doing it by yourself. It doesn't make sense when people want to gatekeep. Like it's like, for what?
Yeah, and you seem like the kind of guy who likes to watch other people succeed.
I love it. Yeah. Literally love it. I get excited.
I would also assume you're the kind of guy that helps push you a little bit to that next level, right?
But because I also understand too, like, I mean, I saw it when I played Coachella. It's like, because I got to play, like, then people on my labels and music got listened to because people were curious of like what this Late Night Munchies brand was. And so then like my friend was posting about it on like, oh, like I saw my like track at this Coachella playlist like because like Tony played, and it's like, yeah, like that's what we want. Like I win, you win, and then we can all celebrate together. I don't want to celebrate by myself, so I like partying with people, not by myself.
For sure. What was the clincher to get you into Coachella?
They reached out. I mean, I will assume it's because of like the music I've been putting out lately and like how well it's been going. But yeah, they reached out, and I feel like to this day I still can't believe that I actually played Coachella. Like that seems like so, because I have a like really good close friend in Alaska, Grant, who goes like often, and I'm like, bro, I can't afford to go to that. Like I'm not going. And then getting this like call to like play, I'm just like, well, now I can go and I'm getting to play. Like what is life? What's happening? If we back up a little bit,
what was that some of the motivation to start Late Night Munchies? Was that which was the first label, or that
Late Night Munchies was the first one? Okay. So that one I started in 2015.
Okay.
And I mean, I started that second label. I to be honest, none of us know what we're doing ever anyway. But I started Late Night Munchies in 2015, and it was like for all genres. And primarily, I started it because I had a bunch of friends that had really dope music, but had no idea how to put their music out, or like didn't know like the course of actions to take to be able to put their music out. So one of my friends was just like, why can't you be that person to like facilitate? And I was like, you know what, great idea. And I had like actually funny story, like I would sometimes sit in my house and get super high, and I started this mix series called Late Night Munchies.
Okay.
And I would like take cartoon graphics and like make them all look like they were all high. But that series did not pop off. Let me tell you, it did not go well. But I've always had this thing where like if I think of an idea or a name, I'll like keep it, like I'll write it down. So like even though that failed, I was like, this Late Night Munchies thing, like that's a cool like name for something. And then when the label thing came up, I'm like, that's what we're gonna call it. And then 4 years later, I started Munchies After Dark. I can't really tell you why, but I started that other label for other genres of music because I just wanted the separation of like techno over there and like all the other stuff on this one. But the motivation behind that was literally just to help my friends. Like that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think it was gonna go as far as it has. And all I was gonna do was like put their music out and kind of just like go about my day. And then it just kind of turned into this whole other thing where I was like, okay, like now we're doing this years later.
That's so cool though. I was real curious about that. I think I can make a lot of assumptions, but I think it's important for people to hear what motivates other people to do stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Literally just trying to help the homies out.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it was. And now we're like by the beginning of next year, we'll be on the 200th release, which also like is insane to me. I was looking at it the other day, but yeah, it was like, I was like, oh, I'm going to put out like 4 or 5 like releases for my friends. And like, that'll be that. And I'm just going to keep living life. And then it just turned into like, oh, like my friend has music and this person has music. I'm like, all right, like I'll release it. And here we are. So 8 years later.
8 years later, you started the Late Night Munchies and then Munchies After
Dark.
Dark.
2019.
You're also a label manager for
Space Yacht, which also is wild because the way that even happened was on Twitter, Space Yacht posted like, hey, we're looking to interview people for our Space Yacht radio. And a bunch of my friends tagged me in it. So then Rami, who's like one half of the owner of Space Yacht, reached out to me. He was like, hey, like we're starting our like podcast series back up. We want to interview you. And so they interviewed me, and in the interview, we talked about label stuff, and he realized I like use the same system as them. And so like 2 months later, their label manager got another job, and so he called me. He's like, hey, do you want to run our label? And I'm like, I love the brand. Like I already had been following them for years before they even started the label.
Right.
And so he called me, and I was like, yeah, of course, yes. Like I'm not going to say no to this. So I've been with them for, I think it'll be 2 years this year, or next month.
So fun. And you're one of those rare guys. We just actually had John Lemon in here who
love John.
John's amazing, and he makes all his money and pays all his bills with music. And it sounds like you're in this.
Yep.
You're in a
same. All music. I mean, with music, you have to create multiple revenues. So I mean, that's why the label, I DJ, run Space Yacht. But yeah, all music, which is, and to be honest, I chose the worst time to do it full time. I was working a full time job. They did a huge layoff, and I was part of the layoff, and it was 2 months before the pandemic hit. And I was like, you know what? I'm like all about like, this is a sign. So I'm like, this must be a sign. I need to DJ full time. So I was like, all right, like I was like January like 6th or something. I was like, I'm DJing full time. After I had gotten laid off, I'm like, I'm not looking for another job. I'm just going to do this full time. And then 2 months later, the damn pandemic hit. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do now? What the hell?
It was so rough.
But it worked out.
Yeah. It worked.
I mean, we all moved to Twitch, which was like a big thing for a lot of people. So
you did the Twitch thing to buy you a little bit of sanity in the madness of COVID, because I know a lot of people were suffering, especially creatives that I knew. Right? Anything interesting come out of that experience? Just sort of embracing Twitch fully like you did.
Honestly, a lot, like so much cool shit came out of that because, like, so before Twitch, I mean, I had played out of state a couple times with like the opportunities I got post Twitch. I got to play my first gig in San Diego was because of Twitch.
Nice.
And my first gig in Chicago was because of Twitch. And then I got to meet all those people IRL. So like Twitch created opportunities for me to meet people in different countries, cities, whatever, to then get to play in some of these places. So that was like actually the San Diego show. It was literally like it was like, when you like go to Comic-Con and it's like a meetup, like that's what it was. It was like a Twitch meetup party. Literally everyone I had ever met that was in San Diego came out to that party. So it was like a big eye. Like there's a picture of all of us like meeting for the first time. It's just like, oh, you're, and like we all had like the my name is, but like with our Twitch handle.
Wow.
So like that was great. So like so I was like, oh, you're that person. Oh, you're that person. Oh, you're the one in my Discord. Or you're the one in my Zoom room. So like that was cool. And then like even outside of that, it was like just meeting people in Seattle. When I played Day Trip last year, I got to meet some people, cried at the park. It was great. We all met for the first time. They were going through some shit like as a couple, and I was also going through some shit like just on my own. And it was just like we just gave each other like this big like wholesome hug. It was a very wholesome moment, honestly.
All because of Twitch.
All because of Twitch, literally.
And I bag on Twitch, and I keep hearing these freaking stories that I got to reevaluate.
You got to get on Twitch.
Okay, man, I'm sold. I'm sold on it.
I'm like those TikTokers that are like, do you want to make passive income? Get on Twitch.
Okay, so I mean, we talked about, right? You label owner, DJ, remixer, producer. You're actually coordinating events, and your most recent endeavor, I think I saw a DJ Academy.
Yeah, now we're doing a DJ Academy,
an event space,
Black-owned DJ Academy. I'm just going to emphasize that.
Nice.
We're doing a DJ Academy event space. We're working on it, so right now we're in the funding process, funding stage. So getting investors, getting people to donate, fund. You guys can find the donate link, the GoFundMe link. But yeah, so the spaces to do workshops, DJ workshops, production workshops, music industry tips, talks kind of deal, getting people that are trying to get into the scene that like are having trouble, helping them get into the scene, people that are making music having trouble getting their record signed. Sure. Thankfully I run a couple of labels, so I can help facilitate that. But the big thing is like all inclusive, everyone's welcome. It's going to be all ages. So this is like, I have friends that have kids that want to are interested in like my younger sister like has a friend that wants to learn to DJ. I'm just like, yo, like tell them what we're doing. So it's safe space. It will be all people from the scene that like people know and trust. But like with my rite of passage. But yeah, like that's the new project now, and we'll it's a very stressful process.
I would
Let
imagine.
me tell you.
Let
me tell you.
Yeah, no. Well, and I just think there's so much you're doing and so many different people you're working with. And the thing that came to me especially when I saw that pop up after seeing, new release announcements and, oh, you're in Detroit.
Like, here's Tony doing some other shit.
Right, then it's Tony doing something else. Like, how do you decide on what projects to take on, who to work with? Like, what is the criteria for you?
Like for this project, it was like like the labels are doing well enough on their own where like I'm able to like give myself the time to like go start another project, because I feel like, because if otherwise, like if this was the beginning of Late Night Munchies or Munchies After Dark, I'd be like, nah, like now's not the time. But I just feel like now's the perfect time because it's something that we need. It's community driven. The labels are doing fine on their own. Like I'm DJing and like doing my thing on that end. So it's just like what like why not now? And everyone that I talk to, they're just like, why aren't you already doing this? I was like, well, because I didn't have the damn time.
Right.
And now I think I do. I like to think that I have the time. I really like to think that I have the time.
Hey man, they say if you want to get something done, you ask a busy person to do it, right?
Yeah. Here he is.
Yeah.
Here he is.
And I think the other observation I have about guys like you is the way you set things up. There's not really, you don't give yourself an out. There's no safety net, right? So like you go.
This is all in, baby.
Yeah.
This is all in.
But those are the kind of guys you want to do these projects.
Yeah, this is all in. Yeah. Main focus is now this, and we're gonna see it all the way through.
And you have a team you're working with on this particular endeavor?
So I'm working with my friend Austin, who already has runs a nonprofit based out of Indianapolis, but he's a really good friend of mine. George, Matthew are also part of like the board members crew. But also outside of that, like even when I made that post on Facebook, people are reaching out offering free photography or like free panels, free AV reactive panels. So that's the point of this. It's community driven. So like I want people in the community to be involved in this because it's for all of us. It's not just about me doing this. It's for everyone to benefit at the end. So yeah. So now here we are.
That's super cool. And I think when something's authentic like that, I think people underestimate how much people want to help when it feels authentic and when it's something they believe in and when it's something they can support. I think a lot of times people feel like other people don't want to help when it's a very like sort of selfish, centrally focused endeavor, right? But no, I love the vision, man. And when I saw it, I got excited about it. So my gut, when I asked myself, it seems like the right move for you guys to do this thing. So I'm pretty
with your gut.
To see what see what happens here.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's happening. It's called Baseline
cool.
Beats Academy. And so coming soon.
And you have a GoFundMe. You're looking for a potential investment.
Yeah, possibly. Looking for potential investment. Got the GoFundMe. And we're just gonna, and like for people that are like curious, like we're gonna be using the funding for, we're gonna buy equipment, we're gonna get sound, we're gonna get like soundproof padding, we're gonna get software, like we're getting all the things that we would need to, be able to do these workshops so that. And the point is also for the space to be available if people want to go use it to go listen to their tracks on actual speakers as opposed to monitors or in your car, like whatever. Or if you want to go, work on music, Ableton, go DJ. Like I get hit up all the time, or not all the time, but like often from people who are like, hey, I want to practice my set before I like have to play this big gig. And I'm like, okay, like come to like normally they come to my house, but like now you can use this space where like the newest gear, club ready gear will be there for you to use, and you can actually prepare yourself for your set at a club that is going to have the same kind of gear. So people like, and people get freaked out. They see a V10 and they're just like, I've never seen that before. It's like, well, now you can go to this space and you can use a V10 and get comfortable, and now you can play this gig in front of people and you'll be fine. So.
Yeah, I think that's the barrier to entry sometimes with some of the premier club gear is it's expensive. We know this. And when it's expensive, like, and you get a club gig and you've only played on a controller, or maybe you've played on some XDJs, you've never been on a 3000. Like, it's a different game. It is really cool to give somebody the opportunity. There's a crew out of Colorado, actually, Mile High DJ. I follow them on Facebook. We kind of, they're a DJ store, but they also rent a space for people to do exactly that, to go get warmed up.
Yeah, because I don't want people to be afraid. Like, I don't want people to like stray away from DJing because like, oh, like I can't afford the gear, so like I can't practice. And I have friends that like want to like they want to play out, but they're like, yeah, I've never played on 3000. So I'm like, okay, like we're gonna create this space where like you can come practice now, and then you're gonna be fine when you go play any of these club gigs. So
I think that's super cool. And so, are you also, depending, I assume, on logistics of the actual space where you guys land, but are you also thinking of renting the space out for events and things like that? Okay.
So that was like the other thing too. It was like the biggest thing. I mean, I just went through this with my girlfriend and her friends. Like, everyone wants to throw a birthday party. Yeah. But then what's always like the main problem? It's like we don't have the DJ gear, or we can't find someone with the gear, or we can't find someone with the sound. So like the whole point of also having the space is like, well, you can now rent the space. It will already have gear and sound. All you have to do is find a DJ, but everything's there for you, which surprising to me. I guess it's like there's not many places that you can just rent that have these things available. So I'm just like, why can't we also do that? I also have friends that do like art showcases that like I would love to do art galleries for them and like have them, and then all the gear and sound is already there and everything's already there for them. So
and you got walls to hang
and we got walls to hang shit.
I love it.
And then like and then also like a even more important point to this too is like this is also to represent more minorities, women, LGBTQ in the community, in the scene, because it is what it is. They're misrepresented. There's not a lot of them on lineups a lot of the time, so this is like a push for that to get them out there too. That people that want to play, want to produce, want to make music.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit about that, and again, say as much or as little as you want about that. But from that perspective, minorities, POC, LGBTQ, do you feel like they're underrepresented in Seattle? And is there just some general thoughts you have on where maybe the Seattle scene could improve?
I think they're misrepresented in general. Okay. I wouldn't even pinpoint Seattle because like there are. And I would imagine this is in every city, state, whatever. Like there are people that are trying to put them on lineups. Like I don't discredit that, but I think, you see festival lineups and it's like 85% were men, and then there's like 5 women on the lineup, and I'm like, okay, like we can do better. Like there's too many dope women, LGBTQ people of color that are out here doing it. Like why aren't we part of these lineups? So I don't think it's a Seattle thing. It is a problem in Seattle as well as other places. Sure. But yeah, this is just like the initiative here is like to not that we need to prove, but like to show that like, hey, like there's all like here's a roster of dope people that you can be booking, and here's your opportunity to do that now. So the plan will be to help push those people out into the scene. Also, I'll probably be organizing multiple events, fundraisers for the nonprofit, and then highlighting these artists on those lineups. So I'm excited.
You should be, man.
I'm
I mean,
excited.
what I'm hearing is you've basically created a currency through your labels,
Yeah.
through your own persona and your performances, and now through this space that people are going to begin seeing value in, and I just have no doubt it's going to positively affect the communities that you're trying to.
We're trying. Right? Thank you.
So
we're
that's
trying.
super cool.
We're out here.
Yeah, and you're here telling me about it. Which
you're
is
telling, yeah.
Yep.
It's the first time I'm even talking about it.
I love it
live. Actually,
that's good, man.
Hell yeah.
Good. Did you mention? I know we were talking off camera. There was another project that you were also working on, or did I miss?
Oh yeah. So this.
Just one other project.
Also,
right?
also one other project, but also like the story for this is crazy. So if you guys aren't familiar, there's a hotel called Citizen M, and I get emails all the time from like random accounts, and I just always assume it's spam, and so I sometimes respond with like some smart ass comment because I know it's spam, so I just like say some random shit. But I got this email from like this like hotel person saying like, yeah, like we've heard about you, and like we want you to like work, like we want to work with you. And I had just gotten a manager at that point, so I'm like, hey, like it's some spam, just respond, like whatever, like we're probably not gonna hear from them. And then like the CEO responded to us and was like, no, like this is real, and we want Tony to represent. And they were doing this thing with Citizen M. It was like 5 pillars of the business, and I'm the party ambassador for Citizen M. So it actually turned out to be a great partnership. Worked with them last year, and they flew me out to LA. We did like this whole like campaign around me and like what I do. So Citizen M is also lit, by the way. If you've never stayed there, go stay there.
I'm gonna have to now.
They have a great bar. The rooms are every and what I love about them, like that like you asked me earlier, like how I pick my people, or like I just knew when I met with them and like was there, like it was gonna be a great partnership. It was like I used to work at a hostel when I was younger, and so it gives me like big like hostel energy in the sense of like people from all over the world stay there. Like you feel it. Like they're not like, none of those people are backpackers, but like it feels that way when you're like at like the atmosphere they've created there. And then every hotel in every city is different. So not one hotel is designed the same way. Even the 2 that we have in Seattle are both designed differently, which is like very cool. For me, like aesthetically, I'm just like, I like, you're talking to my heart. Like I love this. So yeah, I worked with them last year. We did a whole campaign, and I'm their party ambassador.
And so this is going to be kind of an ongoing thing.
Yeah, so I'm like still working with them. We're like going to do, I'm going to DJ some events for them eventually. But yeah, they sent me like a whole like little care package like recently. They're just great.
Man, that's great. Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, the funny story there is just like I thought it was spam, so I wasn't even gonna respond. My manager like was CC'd in that email. I was just like, I was like, it's probably spam. Respond if you want. You don't have to. And he responded, and they like reached back out, and we're like, oh shit, this is real.
I bet that's one other thing I meant to ask you about earlier when we is. And maybe you don't have a clean answer on this, but when is the time for somebody to seek out a manager, or does a manager seek you out? How did that all work?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I do know. What I mean by I don't know is like I don't know when it's the right time to have a manager. The only reason this happened is because I literally put a tweet out saying, "Do I need a manager now?" And I had people like Mikey. Like Mikey's a good friend, like from Desert Hearts, and he like responded and was just like, and like gave me like this very like eloquent response of like, yeah, maybe like when this is happening, you need a manager, like et cetera, et cetera. And my friend Rob who's like a good friend of mine, was thinking about managing artists. Okay. And so he called me and he's like, do you want to just like partner up and like, let's just do this together? Like I'll learn, you'll learn. We'll like just do this whole thing. I was like, you know what? We're good friends. I trust you. I know that you like are looking, like you're looking out for me, and like he always has. So I'm just like, let's do it. But like, I think I don't know when the right time is for a manager. I know that you need to be doing a lot in the sense of like, you need to be putting out music consistently, right, playing out often. The reason I was thinking about it was because I was getting a lot of bookings and it was hard for me to manage all of the people that were trying to contact me. Right. So it was like, it was easier for me to like funnel like, hey, go talk to this one person, as opposed to like send me an Instagram message or a Facebook message or an email or DM me on, like, it was too much. And I'm like, all right, y'all are texting me from like 18 different places. I can't keep up. Now here's one email, text that person. So I think the right time is when you think it's the right time, or when you think that you should be doing more outside of what you were already doing for yourself. So I just felt like, okay, like I've done all the Seattle things. I want to play out more. I should probably have someone representing me to like facilitate this situation. So managers, you get yourself, like you can handle that. Agents are what you're waiting for people to, they reach out to you.
Okay.
So like that would probably be the next step for me, is like now having an agent who's like part of some bigger company and like now facilitating for me in an even bigger scale. But yeah, manager, I mean, you can get one whenever you want.
So they're an extension of Tony H.
Yeah.
Manager, and an agent is almost like they would reach out to you. They kind of choose you for their team. You decide if you guys are going to have a symbiotic relationship. Then they're probably like booking you into big festivals. And okay, got it.
So that's the next look now. But you know what's crazy is like, I mean, obviously having an agent would be fantastic. I mean, who wouldn't want that? But I've been able to play a lot of things without it so far. So I'm just like, do we need that quite yet? Probably not. So we're good.
You're giving a portion of the pie to them, right?
Right. So I'm like, we're good for now.
Yeah.
We're good for now.
Wow, that's very cool. No, I appreciate you answering that. I don't know that whole sequence of events, and I have a feeling a lot of other people are pretty curious about how that all works.
Me neither. And that's why I made that tweet, because I'm just like, do I need one now? I'm like, maybe I'll just ask. I don't know, maybe.
But I love that you just tweeted it out and asked, because people are so shy about feeling stupid.
Nah, I don't care. I'm like, I'm gonna ask, and if no one answers, fine. And if some people answer, then I'll read what they.
So many little lessons in this chat we're having right now.
I mean, again, like closed mouth don't get fed, and like that, and that's why I tell my friends, like, if like people will seem like, I just was with one of my friends in Detroit when we played out there, and he's just like, oh, I don't want to bother you with like, I'm like, bro, like you have my number, call me anytime. Like no question is dumb. Like we're all learning this whole like music industry process together. Like I may know something that you don't know, and you may know something that I don't know, and I may ask you because I think you know it. So I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna tweet this today, and we'll see what happens. And literally, like that same day, Rob called me. He's like, let's partner up. So I had a manager within like 6 hours.
Okay.
So it was great. It was great.
No, I love it. I love the proactivity, right?
And I saw my peers too. Like I have like other friends that like had managers, and I'm like, just like, okay, like I see that like you're hot and popping now, so like probably was a good time for you to have a manager. I'm like, I feel that way about myself, so I probably should have one, but let's make sure that I actually need it, because like maybe I didn't need it, but actually it has been great working with Rob. So
no, that's cool. Nice work, Rob.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
good job, Rob. Good job, Rob.
Well, so out of all these different projects, out of all these different things that you're doing, all the different pies you got your hands in, which is your favorite child right now? And kind of maybe for the foreseeable future.
I mean, late night munchies is my that's my baby, because that's the first big project I started, and I have this thing where I have to do something to like make it legit. So for late night munchies and for Munchies After Dark, I got tattoos to make it real.
Nice.
Now my parents didn't love that idea. My parents didn't love the idea that I even got tattoos to begin with. So telling them I got 2 tattoos about a label that I'm trying to start with no funding behind it was a great conversation with them. I'm like, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be for my friends. I got this to make sure it's real. They're like, all right, Anthony. when my mom says my full name, I'm just like, all right, you don't love this idea at all. But you know, now Late Night Munchies is 8 years old, and Munchies After Dark is 4 years old. So we're actually doing a Late Night Munchies 8-year anniversary party with Decked Out, Shameless. Shout out to Daniel and Holly and Shameless crew in August.
They throw good parties.
I love their parties so much, and I love day parties. Yeah. And that's what they do a lot in the summertime.
I love it.
So you'll see me on the deck a lot.
Seattle House Mafia will be there, man.
All right, I'll see you guys out there.
So because of that answer, Late Night Munchies being your baby, I'm gonna quiz you as a label owner.
Okay, here we go.
This is where I put you on the spot.
All right, let me not fuck this up.
So I think the first question, I'll build it up to a pinnacle, but I think the first question for you would be, you know, out of all the different genres under that umbrella of dance music, EDM, electronic, whatever we call it, right? I call it dance music because I'm old. But what would be your genre of choice if you had to kind of pick one?
Probably, to everyone's surprise, I do love tech house a lot. I do love tech house, but I love drum and bass a lot more. Shout out to Mind Groove. Honestly, I hated drum and bass a lot, like a lot. Like, you know, the way when DJs are like, I don't play country, and like they mean that. Like, I hated drum and bass that much. Where I was like, I don't want to hear it. Don't show it to me. I don't care. But Chris loves drum and bass. Mind Groove loves drum and bass, and he took me to a show when we were visiting Seattle one of the years at Foundation. It was a Camel and Crooked, and I stupidly assumed that drum and bass just was one kind of sound, and there was, which why would I even think that when there's house and there's deep house and it's like why? Anyway, I just thought drum and bass sounded the same to me all the time. So I'm like, I don't want to hear this. And he took me to the show, and it was amazing. And and they played like a liquid drum and bass set, which that's like my favorite.
Me too.
And so I was in. That was it. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And so drum. I mean, for those that like have seen me play drum and bass, I've done a couple shows. One with People's Music, APOG last year, and High Octane Nocturnal Syndicate's party at High Dive. But I love me some drum and bass.
So cool.
I really do.
I'm very surprised by that answer, but I dig it.
I really love drum and bass.
I've tripped into it again too, man. I love it too. Yeah. So I understand. There's something about it.
Give me a solid liquid drum and bass set.
I know.
I'm losing it.
Yeah. Ronnie Size, LTJ Bookham, like I think you said Andy C.
Oh, Andy C. Yeah. Also, shout out to Mind Groove because he force fed that one to me. He's just like, you're gonna listen to Andy C. And I'm like, yep. Yes, sir. Got you. Yes, sir.
But it was worth it.
But it was worth it because I love Andy C. So shout out Mind Groove.
Nice job. So next quiz question. If there were an artist that you'd want to collaborate with, work with, have on your label, do something with, remix, whatever, who would that be today? So
now I have 3 because I had some time to think.
Okay.
So definitely Honeylove because she's just queen of queens. I got to meet her last year when she played the Black Book Party here in Seattle. The Martinez Brothers because it's the Martinez Brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm sad because I played that same night Josh Wink.
Yeah.
I love Josh Wink. I went out of my way at Movement. I think it was 2017, I want to say. And I'm not a big need to be at the front of the stage to see an artist, but I fought my way to the front to see Josh Wink play, and it was one of the best sets of that. I will never forget that set. And I even randomly ran into one of my friends from high school that I hadn't seen in years, also at Josh Wink's set at Movement. So that was also great and random. But yeah, that would, if I can get them on the label or collaborate, anything of that nature, I'd be a happy child.
Okay.
Kid in a candy store.
I have no doubt you'll ask.
I have asked Honeylove.
Okay.
I have not asked the Martinez Brothers, and I have not asked Josh Wink, but I will shoot my shot.
Based on what I've learned so far, I have no doubt that when the timing's right, or maybe a little bit before when the timing's right, you're going to reach out to them and ask them. Okay. Now here's a tough one. I didn't really warm you up. I don't think enough for this one, but if there were an album that was representative of maybe your favorite album, I know it's an extremely tough question for a music lover.
That's such a hard question. That's an asshole ass question.
It is. It totally is an asshole question, isn't it? But you're a label owner and you got a lot of opinions about music.
This is true.
I would love to hear where you fall on this one.
So I used to do this thing, which I don't do it as much because I don't leave my laptop connected to my speakers anymore or as much. But I used to wake up every morning and I would listen to Sade Paradise. Okay. So I would have to pick that stronger than Pride album from Sade as probably one of my favorite albums. My mom loved that album too. That's probably why I love it so much. I think I heard it so much in the house that then I subconsciously still love that album. But yeah, Sade the Queen.
I think that's a fantastic answer.
I
just watched I had a remix that I played that was a white label when I was digging through some records the other day, and then I started watching Sade music videos.
So good.
And there's so much grace and class and beauty and smoothness.
Good.
It's so good. I think that answer wins.
If I heard Paradise in the distance, I would probably drop all my shit and run to wherever that sound is coming from. That's how much I love her and that song.
I approve of that answer for sure. So let's move into kind of future, and
okay.
Like I say, you got a lot going on. Is there some big bold goals that you have? I know you got the DJ Academy and the event space. I know you got the label. I know you're probably bigger and better DJ gigs. Is there anything that you're not doing today that is on Tony H's list of big goals that you'd like to knock out in the future?
I would love to play a festival in another country. That would be a huge, that would be great. I would love to play a festival in my home. I'm originally from Panama, so I would love to play a festival in Panama. That would be great. Last year I went with John Lee. Last year to this festival called Ocaso in Costa Rica,
That looks so
and it
dope.
was one of the best times I've ever had in a festival. Bunch of friends. I mean, obviously getting to speak Spanish and like being in that kind of environment for me was great. I also ended up being the translator for like the entire house because none of them speak Spanish. So now I'm going to all the things that they want to go to just to translate for them. But it was such a great time. But yeah, getting to play a festival in Ibiza or Panama, Costa Rica, Central South America, that would be like, that's like the next like bucket list. Now I'm getting the opportunity to play festivals here in America, which is great. I'm grateful for all that. Like I have Beyond and Sundown Solstice Festival in Alaska coming up soon. So, but yeah, I think a Europe tour or a South America, Central America tour would be that's the next thing.
I don't see that far out of reach for you, man.
If people see that, and that's the thing. It's like so many people in my circle. Like I never would have thought I was gonna be playing Miami Music Week or Coachella, but all my friends are like, no, like it's gonna happen. I'm like, oh, like, all right, whatever, like sure. And then it's like happening. They're like, we told you. I'm like, all right, yeah, you guys were right. So like in my head, I'm like, that's such like a far goal that I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe it'll happen like soon-ish, but I'm like, I don't see it the way it's like.
What's your boy's name? Rob, get to work.
Yeah, Rob, bro, get me out there.
No, I think that's an amazing goal. I think that's something to strive for. And yeah, I saw video. I always tease John Lee because I'm like, every time, like he's done it a few years and he always posts video on Facebook and it's like you're in a jungle and girls in bikinis and beautiful people and house music.
It's such a vibe out there.
It looks like
he'd been telling me for years to go with him, and I just either I at the time was working full time or was DJing, so I couldn't go in like that last year when I went or the year before when I went. Like I had like that time off, and I'm like, I'm coming with you to experience this. And
hell yeah.
Like we were there for like 2 weeks, and like he's like, you should have stayed longer. I'm like, yeah, you're right, I should have stayed longer.
And I'm a little triggered actually because you're bilingual, and my wife is half my family's Peruvian now through marriage.
What are you doing?
I don't speak Spanish.
What are you doing?
I'm terrible.
What are you doing?
I know. I need to get on
Duolingo.
This has been a very cathartic chat because there's a lot of things now I feel guilty about.
Good.
Like
good.
Like Twitch.
Good.
Like not speaking Spanish.
Good. Not bilingual. Not on Twitch. What are you doing?
You're killing me. Can I get a bouncer here and get you out of here?
Get me out of here? Yeah.
I'm just teasing. Well,
I probably know security.
Probably. I obviously want you to get behind the decks because that's really the fun part for me is seeing what you do when there's no crowd. It's just Tony H being himself, playing what he wants to play. But
me on my Twitch vibes.
That's it. But is there anybody else you want to shout out? Any other projects you want to mention? By no means feel like you have to list it out right now.
Man, there's so many. I love so many people in the scene.
I know you do.
Let's shout out. Let's see. You know what? Let's shout out like my close friends also that are helping me with this nonprofit, Baseline Beats Academy. Matt, so DJ Matt G, God,
hell yeah.
DJ Amp, who I just actually the release we just had on Gene Ferris's label. One of them was a collab with my friend Austin. Also, I'm just gonna shout out Austin because he just started producing music. And how some people produce, but like they're like not really in it.
Yep.
But like my man's is in it. Like he's watching YouTube videos. He's asking me questions. He comes to the house, and we do work together. And so I'm excited for him to see like what ends up happening like in his like musical career now that he's producing. But yeah, shout out to them. I mean, we got Late Night Munchies After Dark. Also, if you guys missed it, I also started another label this year. Was it this year? I think it was this year. It started off as a joke. It's called Not Me Being Chaotic Records.
Oh, I didn't understand. I just thought it was a poorly written sentence.
No, it is not a poorly written sentence.
That's so funny. I skipped over it on purpose.
It is a label that is very real. And the reason it started is because I always put other artists in before me. So when I'll sign records to Late Night Munchies, but like in my head, I'm like, oh, I want to put out a record like on the label too. And then I'll look at the schedule. I'm like, oh, I've already scheduled out the year. Like now I can't. I'm like, so I literally started this other label just so I could put on my own music, like technically self-release my music, but like under like an actual label. But that's real.
Yeah.
I have a t-shirt that I made that says Not Me Being Chaotic.
I love it, man.
It was like a Twitch thing of like me like always being chaotic on stream, and I'm like, oh, Not Me Being Chaotic. And I was like, maybe I'll use that for something, and my friends were like, start a record label. And I was like, another one? So I did.
I love
and we
it.
put out 5 records already. And yeah, so
That's so funny.
I love that you thought.
No,
that.
for real. Like, I was like, because you're a sharp guy, right? And you immediately sent me a couple bullets for the intro, and I saw that part, and I was like, I don't know what he means there, so I'm just gonna
I'm just skipping that.
I'm skipping that. It's a label.
So yeah,
I love it.
It is a label.
Okay, okay. So, and by no means, everybody comes here with a different plan or no plan at all.
Yeah.
The mix they're gonna play. Anything you want to say about what you're gonna do on the decks?
I have no fucking clue.
I love it. I love that as just as much.
I have no idea. I never do. Like, people ask me all the time. Like, when I played like Coachella, they're like, "Did you plan your set?" I'm like, "Nope." I literally made one post before Coachella because if no one knows, I do a stream on Sundays called Sunday Funk Day. And so, because I was playing on Sunday at Coachella, I made a post like, I was like, oh, should I start my set with like some like funky house stuff? Because initially we thought they were going to stream that set. So I was like, so the people that couldn't be there, I was like, I'll give you guys like some Sunday Funk Day vibes like while you're watching, and then I'll get into like my set. So like first like 45 minutes of my Coachella set was like all funky house to like, pay whatever for people to know that like Sunday Funk Day vibes. But yeah, I don't plan my like I and not to say that I didn't in the like when I first started DJing, because I did.
Sure.
But I've been doing it for so long now that I just like when I'm playing a room, I'm just like, I feel the room out and I just go with my gut again and just play whatever. And when I play intimate things like this, I play all the things that like I don't get to play when I'm like playing a club gig. So
it is the vibe and reading the room, and when you are out live, like it's not so much you have a rough idea of what you're gonna play when you play out.
I don't have a rough idea, but when I'm like reading the crowd, I know what kind of like I know what song I'm gonna start with. So in my head, I'm already like, oh, I'm gonna play this one song, because like sometimes you get a crowd and they're like, they love like the hip hop R&B like house remixes, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna start with this like one song that like I love, that I know like they're probably gonna like. I've been playing this like Miguel Sure Thing remix, and like which I annoy myself because I play a song so much, and maybe I'm gonna blame my friends. Actually, I'm not gonna take the blame on this, because they always get the video of me playing that one song that I always play. And so when I go to my Instagram stories to repost things, I'm like, oh, I have 10 videos of me playing that one song again. I'm like, you guys know I played an hour, right? Like, you guys didn't get any other video of any other song I played. So I've been playing this Miguel Sure Thing, and every video that I post or we get tagged in is me playing this damn song. But like, that's kind of my like thought process. I get like, I always show up early to like wherever I'm going to play. And I kind of just like see how the crowd's reacting to the current DJ, and kind of just go off. And I'm like, okay, they love like some minimal vibes, or they love deep house. Like, let's start there. And like, because I always will build my way back up to like what I like to play, but I always start where the DJ kind of leaves me and kind of go from there. So, but I get that reading the room thing from like my open format days when my friends like just taught me to play on vinyl and stuff. I'm just like, oh, you guys don't like this? Quick switch, quick transition, get out of this. They don't like this. So,
nice. I'm curious what song you're going to start with, but I do want to thank you for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
Time with us.
Hell yeah.
This has been awesome, and it's great to meet you.
Likewise.
This will not be the last time, I'm sure. That
it wasn't as weird as the first time at Flam.
That was on me.
This was much more natural.
I freaked out. You and your girlfriend. It's embarrassing.
She's like, who was that? I'm like, well, I don't really know.
All right, I'm gonna quit jabbing and get you behind the decks and let you go out
in the mix.
But thanks, man. Thanks for coming through.
Hell yeah.
So good to meet you. And
they had good tequila too.
Yeah, we always got
By
good
the way.
tequila.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
delicious.
if you got a drink on your rider, we'll take care of you.
They got you. I can confirm.
All right, man. Let's get after it.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you.